Hi, I'm Katie McDonough, and today I'll be talking with Molly Gearing about her opinion on what the legal drinking age should be. So I guess my first question is what exactly is your overall opinion on what the drinking age should be?
I think that the drinking age should be lowered to 18, mostly just because I think that's when you're an adult in our society, and so you should be able to make your own decisions.
Okay. Do you have any other reasons for thinking or believing it should be 18?
Well, it's mostly just based on the idea that we're allowed to do so many other things when we're at the age of 18, and those decisions are based on the fact that we can accept responsibility for our actions, and so I think that the same should be true with our alcohol use.
Okay, that makes sense. Do you think there are different health effects for someone who drinks younger rather than when they wait until they're 21?
Are you talking about like tolerance or?
Yeah, let's start with tolerance.
Okay. Well, I think based on tolerance, yes, but when you start out drinking, no matter what age you are, your tolerance is going to be low. So I think if the drinking age was at 18, it would be comparative to when it was 21. Just the fact that when you're 18, because the drinking age is lower, people would get more tolerance sooner. So I think it's pretty comparable to what it is now.
Okay. And why the age 18? Why not like 16 or 20 or any other age?
I think 18 because that's the age where you become an adult in society, and so it just makes sense that it would be that it would. It just makes sense to me that it would be then because that's when we're considered an adult.
Okay. Do you think having a lower drinking age would make a difference for things such as like DUIs?
I think that it would because, but I don't think in the direction you think. I think that it would change DUIs in the sense that people who are ages like 18 to 20, because what we currently have now is a no tolerance policy for people under the age of 21 who have alcohol while they drive. So I think that for people who are 18 to 20 who are drinking and driving, and they which isn't necessarily the most smart thing, but if they're doing it anyway, they have the legal limit for people who are 21 or the legal age, and then they get a DUI. It like gives them an unnecessary DUI, gives them an unnecessary legal problems and things like that. So I think it kind of just like adds problems to their life that wouldn't be there if the drinking age is at 18.
Okay. Do you think if with the drinking age at 18, it would make like parents more involved in what their kids are doing, or do you think that wouldn't change much?
I think it would actually probably make them less involved because when they're 18, so they're adults. And that's also a lot of the time where a lot of children, or I guess adults,
Yeah.
go off to college and they live on their own. And I think just adding alcohol to that would be just like one more thing that makes them more of an adult. So I think that parents would just feel like their kids can be a little bit more like on their own.
Okay. Do you think there's a difference between an 18-year-old high school kid and an 18-year-old college freshman drinking? Like, do you think they should wait until they're in college to drink and just leave it out of high schools, or would it make a difference?
See, and that's tricky, especially for me because I was actually really young in high school. So I was 17 when I graduated high school. But I think that so having it be 18 years old does bring it into the schools, which is I actually thought a lot about this, like whether it should be 18 or 19. Because 19 would keep it out of the schools. But I think that it happens anyway in high school, and I think that making it legal would make it easier. It would make it easier for other people to get it, but I think that happens anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think it would increase the number of people drinking in high school, or do you think the people that are already drinking are just going to keep doing it? It wouldn't change the numbers.
I think that it would probably keep the numbers relatively stable because I think the kids that, I guess it would increase just because some seniors would be able to legally drink, so that in that sense it would increase. But I think the number of underage drinkers would stay the same, because if you're going to drink underage when you're 17, when the drinking age is 18 or 21, you're going to do it anyway, regardless of whether you have a year or 3 years or 4 years to wait.
That makes sense. Do you think, though, that if a senior in high school is legally allowed to consume alcohol, that if at, say, like a senior-only event in high school, they should be allowed to drink alcohol? Or that should just be kept out completely?
I would say that it shouldn't be allowed. Are you saying like a dance or something?
Yeah, like a senior prom or something like that.
I would say that it shouldn't be allowed, just because it's, well, first of all, it's probably at a high school, or it's at a place of learning, an educational building. So I don't think that's allowed, in the same way that, like, college kids aren't allowed to drink in, like, a random school building. So I think that it should not be allowed in that case, because just based on, like, the school rules, not necessarily legal rules.
Okay. I guess my last question is, do you think there's a likely chance of the legal drinking age ever going back down to 18?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, there's strong arguments for both sides, and I know that people argue that it's because of brain development is a big reason, and so I think that a lot of it's just going to depend on further research, and whether or not it continues to be proven that if the research shifts at all, that the brain is actually developed at 18. But I do think that there's, like, valid evidence, like, that all other legal rules of you being an adult occur at 18. So there must be something with your brain that makes those laws possible. So I do think it's definitely possible in the future, but I think a lot of it's going to depend on scientific research. So.
Okay. We've talked about the legal drinking age, and it appears that you believe it should be lowered to be 18 versus 21, but there's a lot of different factors that play into that, so we'll see what happens in the future. But thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.